Okay, we're going to talk about range plays in box seat baseball, under the hood version. There are two kinds of range plays in box seat in all versions. There are balls that start out as potential outs that turn into possible hits. And then there are balls that start out as possible hits that can turn into outs. So I'm going to take you through both kinds of them here and show you how the range play system works. There's similarities between both in terms of how you use the dice. So my next game in my 1974 replay is going to be the Dodgers against the Padres. So I took the Mets away for a bit and bringing in the Padres here, and we have Bobby Tolan, left-handed batter, facing left-handed pitcher Tommy John. 1974, a very notable year for Tommy John. Mid-season, he goes out with an elbow injury. It looks like his career is over. And then they perform a surgery on his arm that is now bears his name, Tommy John surgery, and he came back in 1976. So made a really good card in 1974, though. You can see he has good control. He doesn't walk a lot of batters. He blocks a lot of the walks. He blocks a fair number of the hits. Not a big strikeout pitcher, more of a ground ball thrower. Really good at preventing homers against right-handers, and -8. He'll take a lot of home runs away from right-handers. Neutral against lefties. So let's say he's facing Tolan, lefty-lefty matchup here, and let's say you get this dice roll: 62 on the white and the black, 85 on the green and the red, and then a 1 on the pitcher die. Okay, so 62 for Tolan against a lefty. It says RNG SG2, so it's a range check on a slow grounder 2. So on a slow grounder 2, you're going to check to see where it's hit, and this is one of those where it starts out as an out chance, but the fielder's going to have to make a play to ensure that it isn't out. A bad fielder could turn this into a hit. So let's say that you have your flip card here, and your 2 under grounder happens to coincide with the third baseman. Okay, the third baseman is, of course, Ron Cey, the Penguin. And if you look up at his F rating, that's his fielding rating. It's his range rating. And it's from 1 to 4. 1 is the best, 4 is the worst. And Cey is a 1. Very good fielding third baseman, at least in terms of range. So you take that 1, and you're going to look at the green and the red die. And you use the green and the red from the original roll. 85. And you're going to take that to the range chart. And under 85, if you look at 80 to 89, it says MP. That's a made play, meaning Cey does make the play and throws out Tolan on the ground ball. It is not a hit. It is an out. And Cey made the play. And when you see made play, that means any fielder would make that play. If they were a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, he would make that play. So this is what you do when you have one of these results. It says RNG followed by an out symbol. Important to note, if you look at the 85 here, that is within Tolan's hit range against a left-handed pitcher. But this is not a hit check. This is an out check. This is one where you assume the out, and the fielder could turn this into a hit. So you don't do a hit check here. The next range situation I'll show you, you do. But let's just say that that's the result there. Now, if the fielder had been Davey Lopes at second base, let's just use a different flip card here. And on a slow grounder 2, it's hit to second. Okay, he's a 3. He's not as good of a fielder as Cey is. Now, this 85, of course, would be a made play for anybody. But instead of 85, let's change the roll to 35. So again, range check on a slow grounder 2, hit to second. Lopes is a 3. Take that 35 to the chart. What do we get? We get from 21 to 36, less than 3. And that means a 1 or a 2 would make that play. But Lopes is not a 1 or a 2. He is a 3, and 3 is not less than 3. So it is a hit. So this slow ground ball that Tolan hit, Lopes is unable to get to it in time, or he can maybe smother it, but he can't get Tolan out, and it is going to go for a base hit. And you have a chart over here to get the description of what the result of those plays are. It says hits on out, play result, range checks. And it puts blue in parentheses so you know that it's a blue result. And slow grounders, all slow grounders that turn into hits become infield singles. Runners advance one base only. So if there were runners on, they would all move up 90 feet. And Tolan would be safe at first because the Lopes failed to make the play. Okay, that's how a range check works when you're going with an out into a possible hit situation. Okay, the other type would be when there's a hit check. And this will only happen when you have a hit result. So let's say that 62 roll, instead of it being 62 is now 63. So we go to Tolan's card, and it says SN1. So we're looking at this as a possible single for Tolan. Okay, I'm going to keep the green and the red at 35, but you may end up rolling on the pitcher die the R result. Here it is right here. Okay, so 63, possible single chance, single one. Do your hit check first. 82 is his hit number. The green and the red are 35, so it's not an automatic hit for Tolan. So then we go to the pitcher's die, and the pitcher's die is an R, and that means a range check. So in this case, you're going to take that same green and red. You don't re-roll. You take that 35, and you're going to go to the chart here, and let's also get a notation for where that single is hit. So single one would be hit to left field. And we're going to say that the left fielder is Von Joshua for the Dodgers. And he is, if you can see, he can play all three outfield positions. And he's got a different range at all three of them. He's a 3 in center, he's a 4 in left, and he's a 2 in right. And so he's playing left field in this case. And in this case, he's a 4. So he's the worst range for a fielder. So we take that 35 and we look at it again, and remember what we said is before, from 21 to 36, he's got to be better than a 3. He's got to be a 1 or a 2. Okay, that remains a single because he did not take the hit away. It defaults to the original result on the batter's card, which is a single. Now, if the ball had been hit to center and center field is patrolled by our friend Jimmy Wynn, he's a 1. He's one of the best center fielders that we have. And then that 21 to 36, again, less than 3, he would make that play because the 35 is in that range, 21 to 36. And then the result, you can go over here, and apologize for the glare. Let me see if I can move that so that it's out of the glare. There's a chart here for descriptions for range plays made on hit, i.e. red play results. So all the hit checks are all red, and you're going to go to single fly ball because the single checks on the batter's card, unless they say ground ball, are considered fly balls. So think about this like a looper that goes into center field, and you're going to look at the original black die, which was a 3, and you're going to look at the 3 next to singles fly ball. And it says, in all base situations, outfielder makes diving, face forward catch, denying batter of a sure hit. If less than 2 outs, runner on third scores, a sacrifice fly as he tags up, otherwise no base advance in any other situation. So think about this as Wynn came running in, made a sliding catch, took the hit away from Tolan. If there was anybody on base, only the runner on third would move up. And that's a range check on a hit. So we have 2 types of range checks, again, to review. You have the ones where it says RNG before them, and those are outs that you need the fielder to make the play on to prevent it from being a hit. And then you have the hits where the pitcher die is an R and the automatic hit check doesn't pass. And then you're going to have a situation where you check the fielder to see if he can essentially block the hit. And what I like about this chart, and this is what I like about Under the Hood, is the dice do a lot of the work for you. You can look at these dice results and you can see that, 80 to 89 is automatically an out. It's always a made play. So is 43 to 51. When you see these numbers on the green and red, you know right away out. You just need to check where it's hit. 61 and 62, no fielder makes the play. And I think it's 90 is the other number, yes. So when you see one of those three numbers come up, it's not a made play. It's going to be a hit. So those are ones you can kind of memorize. And you can memorize some of these big groupings like 21 to 36. They have to be a 1 or a 2. 52 to 60, they have to be anything but a 4. And then you've got these ones where you have the option to either choose the default result on the left or use the ballpark chart. And how that would work is if you end up on one of these ballpark numbers, and let's just play one out here. Let's do, this game is in San Diego, so I'm gonna make the green and red a 41. So this 41 is, it's going to say less than 4 or ballpark number 3. So let's say this was that single chance, and you end up with a 41 on the green and red die, and you see ballpark number 3. You're going to go to San Diego Stadium, and you're going to look at these optional ballpark effects, and you're going to see that under the 3, under singles, it says out. So that's a case of where the ballpark took the hit away. Anything 2 and down is a single. And you can see that San Diego is not a great park for doubles. It's not a great park for triples, but it is a pretty good park for singles. And you use this chart, you can use it in both situations. You use the singles column for any single result, any normal fly ball result, and any ground ball result. And then you use the long flies and deep flies and doubles chart together. And then the triples chart is on its own. You just use that for triples. So you have the option to use these ballpark effects. And if you want to include both the ballpark and the fielder, stay with me here, you can use the fielder range to increase or decrease the number. So if you had rolled a result that was a ballpark 2, like 39 here, you see ballpark number 2. Ballpark number 2 is a single. So this would normally be a single, but if it was hit to center and win, remember, is a 1, he brings that up 2 lines. He adjusts it 2 lines up, which makes that 2 a 4 and turns it into an out. So again, this is a chance where a good fielder like Wynn turns a hit into an out. Whereas if you had Von Joshua, who was a 4, he drops it down 2 lines. So that 2, which was already a single, becomes a 0, which is still a single. But if you had had the ballpark 3 before, which is an out, but you hit it at Joshua, who's a 4 range, drops it down 2 lines, turns that out into a single. So this is where the fielder's result and the ballpark result can work together. And you really, again, can visualize this play of, the outfield's a little bit bigger in San Diego. The fences are back a little bit, and the outfielders have to play a little deeper. And a good fielder like Wynn can get to that ball, and a poor fielder like Joshua cannot. So there's a lot of different nuances here with range plays. You have, your charts here to tell you what the result is in the case of the hit to out and the out to hit. You have your main range chart here, which you'll get to know very, very well. You have your way to incorporate the fielders and the ballpark together. And then you have the ground ball chart, where if it's a single ground ball, you're going to look at the flip card to see where it's hit, but you're not going to test the outfielder. You're going to test the infielder based on which hand the batter hits from and whether he's normal or weak. So let's say the ball would be a single to center field, but it's a ground ball. And Tolan should have one of these on his card. If you look at 52, single 1 ground ball. So this is a single chance, but it is not a single that's hit in the air. It's hit on the ground. So you're going to be testing an infielder, and say the ball's hit to single 1 to center field. You're going to look at center field. Tolan's a left-handed batter, and his power against lefties is weak. So left and weak, it's hit to the shortstop, Bill Russell. And I looked him up earlier. He's a 1, so he would have a good chance to make a play on that ball if Tolan hit it to him. So that's another little way that the game adds some realism to range plays. They're not just singles, are not just all testing outfielders. Some of them test infielders as well. And you really get a lot of different results through the series of charts here. So those are range plays. I know there's a lot there. So please let me know if you have any questions. The next one I'm going to do is going to be about error checks, which work similarly in terms of testing the fielder and seeing whether or not he can make the play without making an error. So we'll talk about that next. Thanks again.